man, it's a hopeful story, but far out, there's some pain there.
Yeah, life can throw a bit of pain your way if you're not careful. Things aren't good. I'm not good. I'm going to have to work hard to find myself again, which ended up me losing myself and going down that path one night of just doing heroin.
This episode of A Beacon of Hope is proudly brought to you by Campfire Studios. To find out more, visit campfirestudios.co.nz. 2, 3, 4. A Beacon of Hope is a weekly podcast that shines a light on the human spirit and explores the power of hope in our lives. Join me, Will Fleming, as I talk to people from all walks of life about where they find hope and how they use it to navigate life's challenges.
Be good, be safe, and be happy.
In this inspiring episode, I connect with Rich Farrell, a man whose life story is a testament to human resilience and the power of internal strength. From an abusive marriage, battling depression and anxiety, Rich's life took a downward turn that led to a drug overdose suicide attempt. Miraculously, this dark moment became his turning point, giving Rich a second chance at life. Rich's journey of recovery has led him to the world of strongman competitions, where he channeled his pain and adversity into physical strength, both in New Zealand and on the international stage. It's more than just a physical endeavour for Rich. The strongman journey symbolises hope and his ongoing commitment to growth, love, and peace. Rich, I was listening to Dom and your podcast.
Yeah.
That sounded like a pretty hefty experience, you know, like I was listening to your cadence, how you were breathing and stuff, and I was wondering if you were like trying to hold back a lot of tears in that podcast, you know, maybe it's for people to go and have a look, but I was like, oh, are you nervous? Are you, being a strong man by holding it in? But the bit that I wanted to pick up on, because people will obviously be able to go and listen to that podcast on Dom Harvey's, was you measure your weight gain in sacks of potatoes.
Yeah.
And I thought I was, sorry not to be weird, but I was showering, while listening. And I was like, oh shit, that was one of my jobs, is lifting potatoes all day. Yeah. And I was like, man, potatoes suck. But
that's just because it's a big sack and you just throw it up on your shoulders, and we throw a lot of things around on
25
Strongman.
kg.
Yeah, so it's like, oh yeah, big sack. Block of cheese, there's way too many blocks of cheese to be measuring that. So yeah, that's why something big and strong. That's why I like to measure on that.
It's hilarious because I cut just back to my day of, I was playing semi-professional rugby in Scotland, but you didn't earn enough, so you had to go work. And in the small rural town I was in, it was like the potato factory. Oh. So sack upon sack all day. Kiwi, you're on the sack. So anyway, I thought that was
got to do what you got to do, eh?
Man, you got to do what you got to do, and I guess there's lots of different things to talk about your story. But for me, I guess I like stories. There've been positive influences on me. Like growing up watching movies like Superman and understanding the psychology between, Clark Kent and who's the real one. And, we're all, I guess, two characters in some way.
Oh, some people are a few more in life depending on who you're hanging out with, eh? Some people aren't quite as authentic as they...
True. And we're also different chapters in life, right?
Definitely.
What chapter do you think you're on?
I've sort of thought about this.
Yeah.
I think I'm on about chapter 10.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. I'm down a little
the
way.
second Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. It's definitely a long story in my life. Yeah.
And I guess when I was thinking of talking to you, I was like, man, it's a hopeful story, but far out, there's some pain there.
Yeah, life can throw a bit of pain your way if you're not careful. The circles that you hang out with, or the people that you choose to marry, which I did, and it's about finding those good people, surrounding you with them, good influence and good direction in life. So I may have struggled with that a little bit in my younger days, but that's definitely like a main focus of both mine and my partners is letting the right people into your life and making sure that influence is good on you and not detracting from what direction that you want to go.
I've heard a few people talk about that, like, high, I guess, achievers, that the importance of the people you have around you is so huge, but I don't feel like we all take it serious.
No.
We let things dictate.
Definitely. Especially depending on your sort of upbringing and maybe your previous trauma that you've gone through will dictate how you deal with things later in life. So you might put up with a little bit more shit than you really should, just because you maybe a people pleaser or you don't want to hurt someone else's feelings even though they're hurting you or something like that. So they can have an impact on you without you really taking control of that situation.
And that's kind of sneaky too, isn't it? Sneaks in,
it can sneak in.
Talking like Lord of the Rings stuff, but that it's not evil. But you know what I mean? People take
most people aren't malice. Like they have their own issues and stuff going on that can just reflect on you. But I always look at most people in life are good people. They just sometimes do some stupid shit or some bad shit, but on the whole, they're usually pretty good.
And are they like, are you good at saying no?
I'm pretty good at saying no.
Have you had to learn that?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you tell us how? how do we say no?
Yeah. So that's probably where a lot of my issues came from back in my sort of younger days, 20s into early 30s, was not really knowing me like I thought I did, but I wasn't 100% strong who I was and what my values were. So, you just got that sort of rubber arm, people can sort of twist you one way or the other. And if you don't know yourself, a hundy, then it can be a little bit harder to say no, like have that direction of where you want to go. Does this align with my direction? No, then don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. Yeah. And if you're a little bit on the fence, that could just compromise your values and your direction and make you end up doing something that you don't want, and who knows what happens after that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're jumping around a bit, but that's okay, because I think I'm just interested in painting a bit of a picture, and we can choose where we want to go deep. But what do you put on your boarding pass when you're traveling? What do you call your job?
When I'm going overseas for Strongman, I put athlete for sure. Okay. That gets me some good chats at customs and stuff like that.
Sprinter.
Yeah. Usually gets me I don't get upgraded to first class. That's never happened, but I quite often get upgraded into a little bit more space, which is pretty good, because I don't know if you've been on an airplane seat lately, but I'm sure they're getting smaller. Well, I'm just getting bigger. I'm not sure, but they're getting tight. So put athlete, get some good chats, and especially on the way home when you've got a trophy and you bring that through. Sometimes you get a few beers from some random people who just want to chat to you, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. And did you kind of ever think that, attaching the word title strong would be part of your story? I mean, because I love that. I referenced Superman before. Yeah. It's a challenge, isn't it, to wake up and aim to be that. Yeah. To be strong more than just physically. To be strong, for others when they are not.
Yeah, definitely. Well, going back to my sort of 20s, I was a competitive martial artist. Okay. I fought it. I travelled around the world, went to a few world champs and that. So the heaviest I ever got there was 79 kgs, and that was my weight for most of my late teens, right up to my mid-20s. It was just quite a little person, and I never thought about being strong. I was like fast and fit. So it is quite a 180 in the direction that my life's gone from. Fast, fit, could run forever and fight, to a little bit slower, bigger and stronger, and just wanting to get stronger both emotionally and physically. Yeah. And that's a lot of that came from a really bad marriage. I met her about late 20s or something like that, and I don't really know myself there, so I sort of got caught up in that and ended up losing myself.
Interesting.
In that, you hear of, well, I couldn't say no. I wasn't very good at saying no, so obviously that relationship, which ended up turning into a marriage, was not very good right from the start, And I became weak physically and emotionally on that, because I ended up stopped doing sports, and psychologically I got really depressed, and then there's a lot of abuse in that relationship coming to my direction, which absolutely broke me in that relationship. So I was weak. I was weak in that. And then when that ended, I was sort of at the other end of that, and I was just a lost man. I was a little boy. Yeah.
And how did you get the strength to get out? You know, because presumably these are traps.
Yeah.
Weakening you. And, I just think, was there something you can remember about like that hope to get out?
Yeah, it was a bit of a grey area, but trying to see if we could still work it out, but slowly drifted apart. And then as soon as I got a little bit of freedom, I was just like, oh, fuck this. I feel better already. I'm out. I'm gone. It's over. Yeah, so not that it made it any good, because things went downhill after that, just that little taste of freedom, but I wasn't going back that way. But I just kept on going down, and that's...
What was that, kind of just trying to reconcile what had happened?
No, that was more of all of my 20s, and that relationship just coming up and hitting me all at once, and just going, yeah, things aren't good. I'm not good. I'm going to have to work hard to find myself again, which ended up me losing myself and going down that path one night of just I was actually just walking down the street after being at the pub, and I was like, oh man, maybe I'll just smoke some weed or something. So I just asked some random person, because I'm weird, and they took me back to that place, and they're like, here you go. I was like, oh, this is the weirdest shit. What are we doing down here? And then we ended up doing heroin, and that was that spiral which took me to the basement, and changed my life for that couple of months. Terrible time. But that last time was what shone the light on me and just made me completely change my life, So out of that bad came something really good, because I think and my partner thinks that was just amazing, and able to grow and be an upstanding, solid man that has values and direction. And then, like I said before, you attract what you put out, and I'm putting out a lot of good, and I attract an amazing fiance now, and life is good, Life is amazing, actually. Yeah.
And do you think part of why you're keen to talk about that is because you need to share? Is it to try and sort of prevent people having to go to the depths of where you went to try and find a bit of a direction? Yeah, definitely. Like I said when I was on Dom's podcast, it was like the first time I told that, and that was like a 10-year secret that just me and a couple of people knew. Right.
And it always plays on your mind, and when you keep secrets, you can keep secrets for most of your life, but eventually they're going to come out, because they'll just burn away at you. You can't keep them forever. And just going on that, we didn't even go on the podcast to talk about that. We went on there to talk about my strongman journey.
Absolutely.
And it just completely derailed. I was like, okay, we're here now. So that's why when you watch it, I'm like a little bit uncomfortable. I'm just like quite emotional. I was like, oh, I haven't talked about this stuff before.
Working hard,
Yeah, I wasn't trying to hold back any tears or anything, because I cry freely.
Yeah.
It's good to cry, but it was just the first time I'd shared that.
Like I said, a metaphorical person. I'm just like, how perfect that you go after being strong, and in that moment you were enacting that too, right? It's not just the physical strength. We'd be silly to think that life is about how physically tough we are.
Yeah.
All of the good stories in history are about people making sense of the most horrid things.
Yeah. Some good comes out of the
and I hadn't heard a strong man talk about that before. And I was like, good stuff.
Yeah. While I was there and sharing that story, I was just like, how good it felt to get that off my chest, I just felt lighter. I felt better. I felt like a new man again, that I didn't have to carry around that secret anymore. And so I really don't want other people to have to go through something terrible and carry that with some shame, whatever that is. Everyone goes through different stuff. So just share that story. Like, you can start with your smaller circle and spread out, or you can jump on someone's podcast and share it.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people that go through similar things, and that gives them strength, hearing someone else go, oh, he got through it. Like, look at him now. He was some heroin addict in the gutter, lost everything, and now he's back up, top of the world. Yeah,
absolutely. What was the part that was the secret for you?
Trying to commit suicide with a heroin overdose.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't think that I was carrying shame with that. It was just something I didn't want to share with everyone. But then I realized it was like, I just didn't want people to judge me or anything. But now it's just like, my life's amazing. Look at my life now. I've got to share it. Yeah.
And man, it's probably otherwise we're just reenacting the Dom Harvey podcast. But there's a part before my shower ended and I came here to talk to you where there was a couple of kids, and they were kind of how I describe it as they were holding hope for you. They were allowing you to see what's possible even in a time where you couldn't. And I wonder if you could just talk about that, because that's kind of beautiful that there are those things in life, that it's maybe not in the logic and science. Sometimes it's about, the beauty of.
Yes, especially with stuff like suicide. It comes, usually everyone's pretty depressed and they think that the best thing is for them to not be a burden on other people and take themselves out of the equation. And that's completely wrong. Like, you'll devastate some people's lives not being there. No matter what sort of mess you think you're in, like, there's people around you that love you and they just want to be there for you. No matter if you're sad or you're happy or you're struggling or going through something, people care about you and they will rally around you, especially if you ask for help. If you just surround yourself with those good people that you can trust, then you can turn yourself around. Not saying it's easy or anything, but that's the first step of trying to put those things in place that you can get out of where you are. So that those kids were that for me. They just thought I was amazing. I turned up and I was always happy with them, but then I go home and live the real life of being depressed and stuff like that. So that'd give me that little bit of energy to go, oh, life is good. But that would wear off and then I'd be back to where I was. And so that cycle just kept on going on. But they're a huge part of my life still to this day, 10 years on. I spend a lot of time with them because, especially with that connection that I have with them, they obviously don't know about what they did for me. One day they will, I guess. We'll have that conversation. But they're sort of like 10 and 13, I think, or 10 or 14. So it's getting close to have a conversation with them when they're a little bit older. Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild, eh?
Yeah.
Of all the things.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, like I said, surrounding yourself with those people, which is, I learned from that situation, I was like, some good people saved my life. Some good people can make my life amazing. So I carried that right through. Yeah.
Where did lifting really heavy things come into your story?
That came in on my rehab, because I'd been really athletic in my younger days, playing rugby and martial arts, and a lot of other sports. So that sports outlet, I think may have sort of hidden some of my anxiety and depression in the mid-20s and stuff like that. But when I stopped it, things went pretty sideways. So coming out the other end of that suicide attempt, I was just like, I need to get back into doing something. And I didn't have any friends or any money, so a $10 gym membership was all I could afford. So I was just like, that's me. I'm going to get back and just start lifting some weights. Like I said, I was real small. I was just there doing nice little 5 kg dumbbells or whatever they were back in the day, and just slowly built on those and got that structure and that direction back in my life, which kept on building on that, and that's where I am today. Just one rep after each other and getting bigger and stronger. And 10 years later, competing at New Zealand's Strongest Man. Yeah.
That's wild.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I would never have thought this. Well, no one that knows me would have ever thought this back in the days with a little 70 kg man, and now I'm 130 kgs. Yeah.
Far out. And did the gym in some way just give you something small to control, that you knew the boundaries of what was about to happen? And
one handy is that when you lose all control of your life, it's just about doing small little changes. Like, what can you control? Like, that might be just getting up at the same time every morning, making your breakfast, just doing those small things. And that's one thing you have control on. And that was what the gym was for me, was I can control how much weight I lifted, how many reps, how long I was at the gym, and then controlling that food that goes into the body. And good food in means good energy out. So it was about having that control of something, and just build on that, and control of having a job and saving money, finding more friends, building that community back up around you. They just small things all add up, hey? And some people will get a little bit lost because we all want the end result, but they forget about all the steps to get up to that. Yeah, that's where the hard work is, to build that momentum. But once you start building that momentum, it gets pretty easy, eh? Yeah.
True. Yeah. Why? Because you can kind of go into a bit of an autopilot. Not everything is so critical.
Yeah, autopilot. That's a good thing to bring up there, because if you form those healthy habits when something bad in life happens, and I don't know, parent might pass away or something like that, or a partner or a breakup, then you fall back on those habits and you just go through that autopilot. So if you've got the structure, the eating, working out, turning up, surrounding yourself with those good people, that's what you fall back on. If you don't have that, you can fall back into vices like drinking and drugs and gambling or whatever it is. It's forming those habits so you can get that autopilot.
Because I guess the opposite's true. There's negative autopilot too, right?
Yep.
I guess we call it like more clinical words like negative feedback loops, but they're shit habits too.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with sitting in that negative those negative thoughts that you have. Like, you can't just pretend to be happy all the time. Like, if something bad happens to you. So you got to give that some time. Like, oh yeah, okay, I'll have a little think about that. But that's not going to change my life. I've dealt with that. Just put it to the side and carry back on with life. Sometimes the bigger things take a little bit longer, but you can't just pretend it didn't happen, eh? So like it's been 10 years since I had that lowest low of my life, and I still think about that every day. But it's positive these days. I wake up and give gratitude for the sun rising every day. I'm just like, it's a good day. Okay. Once upon a time, when the sun set, I didn't want it to rise. Now, every day I want it to rise. I want to get after life. Just want to do those boring, habitual things and just celebrate life. So I give gratitude for that, and gratitude that I've got an amazing partner, amazing life, and I just know that I did that. Like, I built that over the last 10 years. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, I noticed your partner's here with you, and another day I was at the studio, you were here, you were together. And is that, I'm just like, that's awesome. And are you
She's
both,
awesome.
But are you both making that effort to be like, we're rolling in life together?
We do roll. She's a sportswoman herself, boxing, and I do strongman, so we 100% support each other, whatever we do. Like, coming up to, I got the comp tomorrow, coming up to it, she's just like, for a week or two there, she's just like, whatever you want, I'm here, I'm going to do it for you. You just rest and do what you need to do to prepare. Wow. And that comes up to coming up to the comp, and she's there, she's just like getting the food in me, give me a little belly rub when I get a little bit nervous or something like that. Ride or die. Yeah. She's there by my side. Yeah.
I just think it's one of the gifts that we never talk about, that if you can find someone who will attempt life with you, that it's as powerful as I've ever seen. and experience. You know, I have an awesome wife who we've nearly 20 years together, and it's like
nice.
That's a milestone that maybe not celebrated so much in our modern world, but really tough to be with someone and to try and love them and back. And there's a lot of finger crossing and hope too, right? That because you can't prove it. You can say you love each other, but it's more of a physical, not a physical thing, but it's a doing.
It is.
You know,
it's about giving and receiving, and both of you have to like what the other person's giving you,
absolutely,
and what you're receiving from the other person. Like I've made the mistake. I've already been married once, and I didn't really do the best decision on choosing that life partner there, and it cost me greatly.
Nearly everything.
Nearly cost me my life. So I was super cautious in pursuing love again. Obviously I didn't love myself when I was depressed there, and learning to love myself was probably one of the things I'm most proud of, like finding my peace and my values and sticking to those. And then you find that person that your life, and we're engaged at the moment, getting married 2025, but
awesome.
Yeah, that's me forever. I'm done. I'm out of the market. Yeah, I found her. She is amazing.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And you know, we do a few podcasts around the suicide prevention topic, not this one, but other ones. And that's one of the best things that I've seen come through in these conversations is that it's achievable. You train, or, you know, think you could be someone else could love, and that you could love them back. And there's so many awesome prevention things for all sectors of life, you know.
Yeah.
Like with my wife, who's, you know, admittedly a bossy German lady, and I need that. But I just like how if she's down, I'll pick her up.
Yeah.
If I'm down, and we're not talking about that, but you just do it.
Yeah. Our relationship at the moment is just like what you're saying. Like sometimes I come back and after a hard day or a hard week, it's like, babe, I'm running at 20%. I need you to tuck me into bed or something like that, you know, like I've got nothing today. I'm out. Like, and she's like, oh, sweet as. I'm a woman. I can just look after myself for a day. You just go to bed, do whatever you need to do, and we'll get back on track on the weekend and pick up again. So yeah, it's about supporting each other through the highs and lows, eh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things I was wondering about you is how do people in the, you know, public society interact with you? Because, you know, obviously you have a footprint.
Yeah.
A physical one.
Yeah. That's quite funny that you said that because, you know, like I said, I used to be like 70, 80 kgs, so quite little. And I still think I'm little. I still think I'm quite tiny. And Ari has to keep going, you're massive. You can't even walk through the door straight. You've got to go through sideways. And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, everyone thinks that you're huge. I was like, oh, I just think I'm 80 kgs, so just walking down the street. And I think some people get out of the way. And she's like, oh, those people look like they want to fight you. I'm like, I'm big love. I just want hugs. Yeah. So there's a little bit of that. I still think I'm just a little tender 80 kgs, but I'm 130, just walking around, but still just full of love. Yeah.
Isn't it weird, eh? Like I'm like you, but I'm the opposite. I was always the biggest.
Yeah.
You know, quite tall, quite big, and I always wanted to be smaller. I hated being on the dance floor and looking at everyone's tops of their heads, you know, as a teenager or whatever, you know, young adult. And I was like, and I think even in my life, I always come into situations thinking like people might be like, oh, look at this. So I say I'm look like an orc, but am like a hobbit.
Yeah.
So we're all different, eh? Which is kind of wicked.
'Cause I'm quite shy like, sometimes, and I can have a resting bitch face on my. I'm just standing there. Everyone's like, "Oh, that guy's been staunch." I'm like, "No, I'm friendly. I'm just a little bit nervous. Come talk to me."
Isn't that funny? Eh? Yeah. Just totally. There's so much of a psychological game to life. And we just don't get it, you know?
Nah, but, you know, everyone's got those own insecurities and stuff like that and don't know what they've been through. So you might have some big, strong person in the corner and he just wants to talk to someone and likes to have a big hug, you know? Yeah. You just think it's scary.
One of the lessons I've learned as I've got a tiny bit older is just to, like, front foot that.
Yeah.
And don't leave that space always, to know that you can control just going and saying hello, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that's where like little things like you're talking about, gratitude, which again, man, like I'm sure the science stacks up on that, and I'm sure the lived experience does too, but I'm nearly guaranteed that most people don't take it serious.
No.
And I'm kind of wanting to say like that's where optimism and hope is found.
Yeah.
It's in, like you say, we're not bullshitting saying it's getting up and making an effort, and I don't know what the storyline needs to be for people,
Yeah. Well, you get it. Sometimes you talk to people and they just sound like they're just going through the day. It's like, where's your happiness? What are you looking for? Like they've got all the house and the car and family and stuff, but it's like, where's that energy that comes for you when you talk to them and stuff like that? Because they don't have that gratitude or maybe that direction of, and I always say the old school saying of just smelling the flowers along the way, because that's where the happiness is the journey. It's not the destination. It's everything in between. And some people just don't take time to look for the happiness in the smallest things. Yeah.
Is there any gratitude in lifting something really heavy that makes you want to pass out?
I do pass out sometimes. I do. Yeah.
Is that the ultimate mindfulness?
Yeah. Sometimes I push myself a little bit hard and I passed out. That's online as well. I did that at this comp last year.
Oh,
actually.
Gosh.
Yeah. Doing a deadlift, I passed out. So hopefully not this year. We've got deadlifts again.
Yeah.
But yeah, like sometimes I put a lot of pressure on myself lifting, but when you just put on a couple extra kgs on that bar, it just gives you that little bit of happiness every training. There's this is not my thing, it's some coaches, but there's a rule of thirds where like a third of training is going to be amazing and good, a third's going to be pretty average, and a third's going to be pretty shit. And so you can't always be happy when you're training and stuff like that, but over a whole it's going to be good times just doing training after training after training, and I love doing it.
I wonder if life's like that.
I'm pretty sure life's like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So technically your third at the end should be the happiest, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you already put some, I mean, like
my third at the end is definitely going to be the happiest, because the first third wasn't the best of my life.
But that's something I've been thinking about too. It's like, what if you have a bit of a different upbringing, where maybe all the stuff doesn't go on, and I think there's challenges there too, because I think you have a unique view. I've had other podcasts where I've described it as you looked into that abyss.
Yeah.
And it nearly got you, but you can revisit when necessary, where most people cruise around and they don't really know what they're feeling, what they're looking.
100.
And it's like, I think that's why it's important for you to like tell those and signal that, look for this, because then you don't have to follow that path. Just simply say no, or, that might be the best reason to look for things you can control. You always hear, make your bed and even go to the gym. But again, even for me, it's like, did I make my bed this morning? Probably could have gone to the gym, didn't. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, it means that you probably took a little bit out of the internal bank, right?
Yeah. Well, the gym's my thing, is not everyone, but like everyone's got to have their things that they do that bring that happiness, and the gym just happens to be the one of the ones for me. Yeah.
Do you ever look forward?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think you'll look forward more than you look back?
I spend a lot more time living in the now without being reckless. So you always got to think about the future a little bit and prepare for that. But I don't let the past detract from my happiness now, which I haven't previously. So I really concentrate on being happy and living for the now, which is, I call that sort of like a few weeks, a month sort of is the now. But definitely now that I have a life partner, that thinking about the future is a lot more prominent in my thoughts. And because I want to carry on this amazing story that Ari and I have and just make the most of it. So, yeah.
What things do you hope for?
Just a our life to carry on like it is. We've been together for 4 years, and people talk about that honeymoon stage. I don't believe in that stuff, because it is what you make it. You can have a honeymoon stage your entire life if you want, little ups and downs. So I just want to carry on the way that we have dealt with each other in the last couple of years, and how we've focused on each other, our sports, our direction in life, and what we want, and just keep on building on that.
You might be a bit loaded. Sorry, it's just I'm going through it. Are you spiritual?
I am spiritual.
What does that mean to you?
Probably more about believing in myself. I think the universe is made up of energy, and I probably say it simply by what you put out is what you get back in. That's my sort of spirituality, is surround yourself with goodness. And focus on the good and you'll see the good. If you focus on the negative, we'll see the negative, and it can pull you that way. So
I just asked because, I like that you put it into practice. It's not just saying something, yet everything's been cruisy. I kind of fall into that category. I just, I'm the youngest by 10 years of my brothers and sisters.
Same.
But they carved paths for me. But what that didn't give me was resilience or moments.
Probably the same for me, actually. Yeah.
And I'm really concerned that maybe that's the goal for most parents, is to have your kids come through without too much. But the other side of that is, you can be these full-on adults and not have built skills to deal with pain.
Yes.
So when it hits you, it'd be like lifting the heaviest weight of your life with no training.
Yeah.
And it will rip you,
That's not going to happen. It's going to break you.
And we're being broken.
Yeah.
That's why, I wanted to catch up with you, and not to talk about the broken bits, but to talk about like that. I think there's a way we can just find a bit of a middle ground.
Yeah, because I was raised religious, but sort of moved away from that when I was about 8 or something. I was like, I think I'll go in my own direction.
Yeah.
But when I was doing my rehab and coming through, I dived back into religion, not to follow anything, but just to see if there's any teachings. I'm not going to say that I can rattle off scripture or anything like that, but just the principles and learnings of different religions, and just seeing what they had to say about that, and also the spiritual side, like more Buddhism and stuff like that, which probably I lean a little bit more towards, and just taking that philosophy without practicing it.
I like that, man. And probably similar to you, like, I don't know, it probably doesn't serve me to say I'll leave a tiny window open, but I don't know what that window is for. I've just seen it that, take for example, following my own path with business. I didn't really believe that if you do that, if you take that leap, that there'll be anything waiting for you. But there is.
Yeah.
And part of it is because you're driving the ship, so you have some control.
I like that. I call myself the captain as well.
Yeah.
I'm the captain of my own ship.
That's
I
right.
choose where I get to sail. Yeah.
And again, whether it's tradition, or most of us think we're going to be working for somebody. And I just found myself more recently when pals reach out, I'm like, yeah, dude, the manager will never get better or any other.
Yeah.
And look, we haven't been doing this for a super long time, so I'm happy to eat my words. But yeah, talk about prevention, knowing you're the captain, whether it's, in the bathtub or an ocean, it's something,
Or life. Yeah, because, coming through what I came through there, like, it's the same for everyone. There's two decisions that you can make. You can, whatever your trauma is, whatever you're going through, you can play the victim, and you can have a victim mentality for your life and play on that, and that's sort of who you are, or you can choose to do something about it. And like that can be different for everyone. I'm not simplifying it too much, but if you play the victim, life is going to be a lot harder and a lot messier. And if you choose to be the captain of your ship and go, I'm going this way, and just start making those little changes, you'll end up sailing out of the river and boom, hitting those big open seas and exploring the world and having a great time.
The journey, the drug addiction, that stuff, for your parents, did they know? Do they know?
They do know. They were one of the only 3 or 4 people that knew. They didn't know at the time. I went through that by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't share anyone. They found out like a year later. I sat down at the dinner table and just told them everything that had gone on.
Really?
And they were just sitting there they're like, oh, stop, that's too much.
What was dinner that night? Do you remember?
No, I have no idea. I don't think I even ate dinner. I was too emotional. But yeah, I just told them everything from like the last sort of 5 or 10 years, and it's like, oh, this is too much for one dinner party. But they got the idea of where I was at in life, and yeah, they had nothing but love. It's okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
And today, all good?
Today?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, they're proud?
100.
Yeah, no, because I think we should say that, it's every, parent dream that their kid does all right.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll give mum a few grey hairs and stuff like that, but through my whole life she's been super proud of what I've done and what I've achieved, and I've not like a big stumble like I did before, but I've had a few stumbles in my life, and it's nothing but being proud. Just get back up, brush me off, and go back you go, boy.
That's good, man.
Yeah,
it's good. I'm about to send 2 teenagers out into the world soon. I've got 17 and 15 and 5.
Exciting time.
So everything's triggering me at the moment, just in like having visions of how different things play out, and I'm grappling my own life, and they're about to start theirs. So
as long as you've raised them right and create that safe environment that they can come back and talk to you if they have any issues, instead of going in bad directions like I did, then they should turn out okay. Be a safe world.
Can you promise, Rich? Say it on camera.
Can't promise anything in life.
Speaking of young people, because we highlighted on the 2 kids, they were family friends. Are they family friends who were kind of like this, just allowed you to see the beauty in life?
Yeah. I call them my family.
Awesome.
They are just friends, but the parents and the kids we've been tight for 20-30 years. So yeah, basically family.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I kind of have somewhat a weird tradition where I ask guests to, I'm fascinated where these conversations sit in 50, 100 years.
Yeah.
If YouTube's around, if the Earth's still around, maybe they're just rolling around on the internet, AI comes and pulls bits of it, whatever. Yeah. I think that to be true, but I think how cool would it be if people just put a little message in there? So, I wonder if you could speak as if you were speaking to those kids and tell them what it meant, so that it sits online somewhere, because we don't know what happens in life. But one of the things I do know is when you're gone, that's it. And not that I'm saying anything, but I'm just like, would that be okay?
That's cool.
Just to leave a message for them, just because they're so important to you.
Yeah. I was going to say, Harvey and Ollie, I love you. You have no idea what you've done to my life. You have taken me from not wanting to be here to making my life the best that it's ever been. I love you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, man. Thank you. No, it's cool, bro.
Yeah.
No, that's the hard bit for me. It's like we always don't say something, and we could ask people to say something.
Yeah.
We could use this technical stuff to do what it's supposed to do, to capture beautiful moments.
Yeah. Like I said, I surround myself, Ari and I surround ourselves with beautiful people, and we've got that circle where we do tell each other that we love us, all our mates, guys, girls. We just always say, love you, bro, love you. So it's something that does come easy. I I do tell the little kids that, but that one hit me in the heartstrings.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess I just want to say thanks for helping. We're quite a visual-based decision society. So when you rock in and you've built yourself up into the strongman, to go there vulnerable and emotionally, I think, for me, I think that adds back into the good pile, you know. And so when you say that you feel things, it's like, oh, cool, you know. I'm just super worried that everything's too, you know, it's identity only, and it's like we're so complicated.
Yes,
and for you to go there with us today, I think is really hopeful and cool.
Yeah. Some people are good at putting on that facade, and not really letting you into that little child inside you that's been held down forever. You know, just let that person out, let them play. Yeah, that's what life's about, isn't it?
Yeah. It is, you know, and when you really think that could be true, there's some, you know, good stuff out there. Where can people follow your journey if they just, you know, want to learn a bit more about you or reach out?
Yeah, you can find me on Insta at The Madness Strongman. I'm on there. Or if you want to follow my romantic journey with my fiancée, it's Rich Faz. That's just all lovey and cuddles and beautiful photos. And the other side's a little bit more lifting and adventures.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All aspects of life.
Yeah.
Rich, thanks for being our beacon of hope, brother.
Oh, thank you, Will.
This episode of A Beacon of Hope is proudly brought to you by Campfire Studios. Campfire Studios is an impact-led organisation amplifying the voices of Māori and Pasifika communities via podcasting and video content. To find out more, visit campfirestudios.co.nz. 2, 3, 4. Thank you for tuning in to this frequency of hope in our podcast today. If you found value from this episode and want to hear more, I would love it if you could follow, subscribe, and rate our show. By doing so, you will increase the frequency of the Beacon of Hope. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other platform, please take a moment to hit the follow or subscribe button and leave a rating and review. I truly appreciate your support and feedback, and it helps us make our podcast even better. Thank you.
Be good. Be safe. And be happy. Yeah. Sounds like that song, doesn't it? Be happy.
All right, Mama, we'll stop there, eh?
Yeah, okay. All right.